is Jeopardy! Please welcome our contestants. Player 1, Player 2, Player 3. And now, here is the host of Jeopardy, Alex Trebek.
Thank you, Johnny Gilbert, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Let's take you right now into the Jeopardy round. Clues are worth $200 to $1,000 in these categories. Elementary, Star Trek jargon, the largest in area, ships, Brit speak, and plays. Player 1, start us. Fancy a cuppa, love? Cuppa is a cup of this. Player 1? Hey, you're right. This brand name has become a noun and a verb for vacuum. Okay, Player 1? That's right, way to go. It's the Daily Double. You are in first. All right, here's your clue. While Americans put gas in their cars, the British put in this 6-letter equivalent. You have maintained your lead. Way to go. Please. This term for an electrical outlet sounds like a presentations program from Microsoft. Yes, Player 1? Good. As they have a tendency to burst open in the frying pan, sausages are popularly called these. Okay, Player 1? Right. You again, Player 1. The Bible tells us of this element being beaten into plates, cut into wires, and worked into the clothing worn by Aaron. Player 1? No. Anyone else care to try to come up with a correct response? Here's what we wanted. Gold. Player 1? You. But this element, 238, doesn't stink. It powers pacemakers. Let's hear it, Player 1. Hey, you're right. I know Bernard Courtois discovered this element in 1811. Yes, Player 1? Right. Player 1? The Kennedy Space Center has used this gas, atomic number 54, in high-intensity lights for night landings. Player 1? That's not it. Any other takers? Here's the response we were looking for. Xenon. Player 1. This ductile, non-radioactive element has an atomic weight of 26.98. Player 1? That's not it. Anyone else care to try to come up with a correct response? We're talking about aluminum. You get to pick again, Player 1. Mexico, United States, Canada. Player 1? Good. Pakistan, India, Bangladesh. Yes, Player 1? Hey, you're right. Saudi Arabia, Oman, Yemen. Okay, player one. Correct. Player one. Spain, Germany, France. Player one. You got it. Player one. Libya, Egypt, Tunisia. It's player one. Hey, you're right. You get to pick. You might need a learner's permit to watch Paula Vogel's Pulitzer Prize play, How I Learned to Do This. Yes, player one? Right you are. Player one? The play Spinning into Butter explores political correctness at a small college in this Green Mountain state. Player one? That is correct. Moonlight and Magnolias depicts the epic struggle to turn this novel into a 1939 film. Let's hear it, player one. Good. Player one, Matthew Burnett turned this Our Town playwright's novel, Theophilus North, into a play. Player one? Correct. In 2006, New Yorkers awoke to find his 1935 play, Awake and Sing, back on Broadway. Yes, player one? Correct. Player one, the submarine USS Nautilus was the first ocean-going vessel to use this form of power. Yes, player one? That's correct. In 1838, the Sirius became the first steamship to cross this ocean using steam power alone. Yes, player one? Yes. On a sailing ship, these can be buntlines, downhauls, or sheets. Player one? Sorry, that's wrong. Anyone else? We're talking about ropes. Apollo 15's command module was named in honor of this ship commanded by Captain James Cook. Okay, player one. Sorry, that's wrong. Anyone else want to hazard a guess on this? Here's the correct response. Endeavor. Player one. Before its name was changed, this ship of Sir Francis Drake was known as the Pelican. Okay, player one. You are correct. You again. The Type 2 of this weapon had a max power setting of 16 and could be set to heat, disrupt, or stun. Okay, player one. You are correct. This device briefly converts a person to energy, beams the energy, then reassembles the person. Player one? That is correct. When Spock checks chronometric data, he's looking at measurements of the space-this continuum. Okay, player one? Correct. Player one. Created by Starfleet, it prohibits interference with other civilizations. It's player one. That's correct. Let's have a look at the $1,000 clue. This crystal regulates matter-antimatter reactions that provide energy for travel faster than light. Yes, player one? No. Any other takers? Here's what we were looking for. Dilithium. Player 2 is in third place, which means, of course, Player 2 will select first in Double Jeopardy. And we have 2 daily doubles awaiting you in these categories. Accentuate it. Yo, Holmes. Movie folk. Physical science. Hello, Delhi. And 1977. Player 2, you start us off. This dogged Sherlock Holmes novel was published in 1902. Let's hear it, Player 1. Good. Player 1. A Napoleon of crime. He attempts to kill Holmes at Reichenbach Falls. It's Player 1. That's right. Way to go. It's the great detective's London address. Okay, Player 1. That's correct. In an 1891 story, Holmes solves a mystery concerning a league of men with hair of this color. Yes, Player 1? Yes. Holmes is outwitted by a woman in a scandal in this Central European kingdom. It's Player 1. Correct. Player 1. Pick again. In this language of the British Isles, you'll see accent marks on the letter W. Let's hear it, Player 1. Correct. Spanish words with the stress on the last syllable have accent marks only if they end in N, S, or one of these. Player 1? Good. You may ask why this language has an accent mark in its word for why. ¿Por qué? Player 1? Nope. Sorry. Any other takers? The correct response is Italian. Select again. Here's Sarah from our Clue Crew with the clue.
In poetry, it's a foot, or metrical unit, consisting of an unstressed followed by a stressed syllable.
Let's hear it, Player 1. Sorry, that's wrong. Anyone else? Let's hear it, Player 2. Nope. Sorry. Anyone else care to try to come up with a correct response? Player 3? That's correct. Player 3, start us. All 5 elements of the salt-producing halogen group end in these 3 letters. One element purifies drinking water. Yes, Player 1? Nope. Sorry. Anyone else care to try to come up with a correct response? We're talking about I-N-E. We return to you, Player 3. It's the lightest known stable subatomic particle. Okay, Player 1. Right. Player one. Hygroscopic substances have a tendency to absorb this from the atmosphere. Let's hear it, player one. That's it. Answer? One of the daily doubles. You are in the lead right now. What are you going to wager? Okay, here is the clue. A body at rest will remain at rest unless acted upon by a force according to Newton's law of this property. That puts you even further ahead. Player one, here's Sarah to start us off.
Nuclear fusion in the sun's core produces energy that eventually flows to the photosphere, first by radiation and then by heat currents, using this process, also used in a type of oven.
Player one? That's correct. We return. Some Shakespeare editions use accents to clarify meter, as in this man's, "The time is out of joint, O cursed spite." Let's hear it, player one. That's right, way to go. You again, player one. I think I'll just have a nosh. A bagel, cream cheese, and the Nova Scotia type of this. Player one? Good. I'll have one of these city omelets stuffed with ham, onions, and green peppers. Player one? Yeah, good. Someone pass me this noodle pudding filled with raisins and nuts. Let's hear it, player one. Good. It's a good night for one of these Jewish turnovers with a meat or potato filling. Okay, player one. Good. Something smells fishy. Must be this chopped fish patty mixed with crumbs and eggs and served cold in a jelly broth. It's player one. Yep. Player one. Rejected by USC Film School, this S in DreamWorks SKG now sits on the film school's board of counselors. Player one? Right you are. Player one? Jerry Maguire was originally written for Tom, not Cruise, but him. Player one? That's correct. He majored in journalism at Fordham before playing a newspaper reporter in The Pelican Brief. It's player one. Yes. This actor got his name by giving his mom a fetal kick while she viewed a Da Vinci work. Let's hear it, player one. Right. Player one. Orc war screams for The Lord of the Rings, this director put phonetic yells on a scoreboard for 25,000 cricket fans. Yes, player one? Correct. Player one. President Carter signed a treaty on September 7th, 1977 that said the United States would give up control of this in 1999. Player one? Good. Player one? The 91-year-old widow of this British Prime Minister was selling off his paintings to supplement her $26 a week pension. Okay, player one? Correct. Answer? The second daily double. You are in the lead right now. Player one, please select your way. And the daily double clue. The world lost two more Marx Brothers in 1977. Milton, also known as Gummo, and Julius, also known as this. That puts you even further ahead. Egypt was planning a new town to be built near Cairo to be called the 10th of this holy month. Okay, player one. Yes. And now the $2,000 clue. In October of 1977, terrorists from this U.S. Commonwealth took the Statue of Liberty hostage for 9 hours. Let's hear it, player one. Right. Sorry, player two. Your score is not on the positive side, so you will not be joining us for Final Jeopardy. Here comes the Final Jeopardy, players. The category is this: U.S. presidents. So, what's your wager? Now it's time for the Final Jeopardy clue, and here it is. He's the only U.S. president who never lived in the District of Columbia. What did you put as your response? And that will set you back. Did you come up with the correct response? And this correct response will add how much to your score? Player one, congratulations to you. So long.